Spring Television, the first edition for the week. It's, hard-working Monday, that's what they call it. Monday is a time where some are eager and some are saying, oh, Lord, here we go again. But then it is the first day of the rest of the best of our lives. So we should make it count here. Morning Spring, we look at very critical issues, the Nigerian conversation for the Nigerian people, sometimes with global outlook. But then the first is having conversations that truly, put us in a good place as a good people and a great nation that we are, Nigeria. And I'm Femi Ojo here on the program. And of course, I have my fellow Nigerian here. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Femi.
Daniel, how do you do?
Great, how do you do?
Yeah, very well. How was the weekend?
Oh, we thank God.
You just thank God.
Sometimes the weekend, it's Friday, then before you know it, it's Monday.
It's Monday.
It's Monday already.
That's
so you
it.
begin to wonder, what happened?
That was what made me say, for Monday, many persons are, oh, let it be Monday. So that, especially people who have deadlines, people who have so many things to do, or you have a quotation to submit, or you have money to go and clear at the bank, a lot of those things. And for many persons, the moment the alarm starts blasting, you're like, oh, Lord, here we go again. But then, either side of the coin, get your legs up.
Yeah,
do what the time does, keep moving.
Thank God it's Monday.
Yeah.
Good morning to you, our distinguished viewers from all over the world. Welcome once again to Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Emeka Daniel is my name. It's a beautiful Monday morning. It's a fresh week, a fresh start. It's an opportunity for you to go out there and kill it. Yeah, do what you have to do this week. Go out there, chase your goals, and of course, achieve your goals. That's what we do here every day, every weekday, bringing you the best of news and information on Morning Spring, and of course, critical conversations. If it matters, then you get to hear it from us here. We engage stakeholders from different, fields, from different areas, bringing you the best of analysis and information. And that's what we do here every weekday from Monday to Friday on Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Once again, it's a pleasure having you join us. Good morning.
Definitely. And of course, we look at the headlines from major dailies, and then we get talking on these issues as well. And so much to really talk about, I was just flipping through the website of INEC right now, and I just saw that the next big thing, a project for them, is the Anambra election, which is just 76 days away. And, many persons, especially in Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo is taking re-election. But I'm sure many persons are gunning for that seat as well to say, Oga, you don't do. From the APC to the LP, all of those things. But then I'm sure Chukwuma Soludo will be buoyed by the last election that his party, APGA, did very well. They had a Senate election and, of course, a by-election for a Senate seat there, and the APGA won. That's a big moral booster for him there.
Absolutely.
And the man has been playing his politics very well. Yeah. The other time was at the
He's been
Villa.
aligning with the president, exactly. I was going to say that.
He was at Villa, and even when you see the solution, Soludo hat he was wearing, at his side was the Bola Tinubu's logo. I say, yeah, a big guy.
The fear of Tinubu is the beginning of wisdom for most of these governors.
Maybe you call it, I want to say the alignment with the federal.
They are aligning out of fear. I've challenged
Well, I don't have proof to that, so I can't say that.
If they are not afraid, then why are they aligning with someone from another party?
Because
if you're a governor,
as they say around here, the work that the president is doing is turning the heads of those guys.
If you're a governor and you are doing well and you are sure of yourself, you are sure of the support of your people, you say, Mr. President, we don't need you. We can do it here. How many governors can do that in Nigeria today?
But then don't forget, this is Nigeria.
And that's what I'm saying. How many of them can do that?
No, even if you are popular, they will tell you to tread softly. Actually, that's just, if you are that popular and you have worked.
Most of them
I'm not saying you must kowtow to whatever whimsies and caprices. No, but I'm saying even if you are the most popular person, you know what to tread, when to tread, where not to tread. Some enemies you don't have to make, so that you can do whatever you have to do. But that doesn't explain people that are just crossing over.
You don't really have
shouting Hosanna to the other side. Even when even when they stay where they are, they can't really do anything meaningful.
Yeah, you don't really have to make enemies, with the president. But when you belong to a party okay, you should be loyal to your party.
Absolutely.
Because your party will produce a presidential candidate.
Yeah.
But when you're in a party and you're supporting a candidate from another party, just because he's the incumbent president, then it means you're not strong enough. You shouldn't be there in the first place.
But you know, all right. But you know, elections in Nigeria, and I'm sure maybe in many places as well, it's hugely sentimental, actually. Let me stay with Nigeria. It's hugely sentimental. There are people, I know one or two persons who really tried, right? They do what, especially parliamentarians, they, you know, propose meaningful bills. They saw it through to some level, and, you know, in the Nigerian context, they empower, so to speak. They empower whatever they can do, philanthropies. And, you know, at the turn of the next election, they were swept away because there is especially when there is another man in town in league of a governor. You know, when a governor comes into a state, any election that follows, you know, most likely because of that popularity of the governor, it resonates.
Exactly.
Especially, you know, because of, you know, the issue of election buying. If that individual will say, I've done well in Abuja, I've done well for you people, see my scorecard here, guys, let's do it again. And you will not keep some money to mobilize. It's not called vote buy now. They call it mobilization, either for coke or for water or for transportation or whatever name is called, and you say you are not giving shishi. The reality in Nigeria is you will have a heart. I can tell you that. Because many persons that have even said, Ranka Dede, continue with your work. Odogu or Igwe or Baba, carry go.
They are still expecting something.
They are still, exactly my point. And when there is another guy, money bag, who means no good for the people, but he knows, I know the politics of this area. They will always have money. There is a way you can share 10,000 naira, and many persons you feel like, well, that guy, he has done 4 years, I beg. And somebody, and they will see the other guy and tell her, but my governor, be my senator, we are doing well. And before you know what's happening, it might be swept away. That's the sad reality. The money bags have been their way. INEC, election observers, you know, sometimes when they talk about these things, we know. Our guys go on election observation as well, election monitoring, and they come back with a report. Here at Western Spring Television, at the other side of the Rave FM, and we know what we know. We know what we hear. That's the reality. In fact, some are not even carrying cash. There's a particular election somewhere where people were given preloaded ATM cards.
Whoa, in Nigeria.
My brother.
Wow.
That's the reality. So, you know what Nigerian politician cannot circumvent that has not been made. The moment you are thinking of a high-tech process to, you know, protect and defend people against some of these things, Nigerian politicians are waiting and watching to circumvent everything because they know.
Yeah, so that was why when INEC said, you know, they were planning for diaspora voting, within me, I was just laughing. We are here in Nigeria, we've not gotten it right.
The on-site voting.
Exactly. So you can now vote from anywhere. I mean,
and there will be glitches.
And those of us who are here, we're still struggling to get it right.
Well, we hope things will get better. So many things to talk about. And in fact, we'll have part of that conversation today because we learned there is a huge conversation. In fact, processes have begun, and some are proposing that all elections should be held in one day.
Absolutely.
How can that be?
Well, I think it will be a good one. It will be a good one. We're going to weigh different sides of it, like you said.
Yes.
But personally, in my own opinion, it will be a very good one because if all the elections are held in one day, there won't be room for manipulations.
You think so?
The presidential is holding simultaneously with governorship, with National Assembly, with House of Reps, with local governments. So no one is waiting to see the result of someone else so that so they'll be able to manipulate theirs. That's what I mean.
Okay.
So it will just go the same time. Each person will be fighting for their own seat from the grassroots. Yes.
Of course. We'll look into that in the course of the program. I like the way you put it. From the grassroots.
Exactly.
You know, people say Jafori. Everybody will think by themselves. But then is a lot of things. And then we'll have that conversation. It will be a very special one. You know, today being the first one for the week. We know you are ready. And we are live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television NJ. By the way, let's say this, you know, for the purpose and benefit of good information, that our previous YouTube channel had some technical, you know, hassle on it. That was at Western Spring Television. So you might want to leave that, jettison that for now. The proper YouTube channel right now is Western Spring Television NG. Western Spring Television NG. That is where we are right now, and you have nothing, exclusively nothing to me. Stay with us. All right, thank you for staying with us. The headline segment is next, and we know you are very ready to go. All right, let's start from the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust newspaper for today. Zamfara meeting, the backlash against PDP governance. Zamfara meeting, backlash against PDP governance. You can see those PDP governance in attendance at the meeting from the right, your right now. You get to see the Emir of Osun State there. That's Governor Ademola Adeleke. In a kind of way.
You called him Emir.
Yeah, all of them, Emir, in a kind of way, the kind of
the attire.
Attire. And of course, Governor Doye, the Emir Doye there, the host governor there, and many of them at that meeting. Interesting one. So there is a backlash against PDP governors. You want to know from who, from where, how, why? Pick up a copy of this paper. Away from that, 6 die. On a side note around, 6 died, 3 missing in fresh Sokoto boat mishap. Again, here we go. Boat mishap. You know, we should do better. I can't recall. It's impossible now. How many times we have read this kind of, incidents, stories of these incidents on this program, just because people will not just adhere to safety. In fact, whatever you call safety, there are some persons that they don't know about it. They are not used to it. What they will tell you is this is the way, especially all these wooden canoes. A canoe that has a capacity for 10, you see like 30 people there, and they will still carry loads.
Yeah, quite unfortunate.
And they will not have jackets. And all of those is nothing, just because that's the way their forefathers have always been traveling.
We take things for granted a lot. I recall one that happened in Lagos. I happen to know a lot of people in that community. It happened in the night. Some people were trying to, take a boat from Lekki to Ikorodu then, and the boat capsized, and several of them died. I mean, over 20 of them. It was quite terrible. They overcrowded the boat, and that was just it. They were in a hurry to get to their destination. At the end of the day, they lost their lives. So what's the point in being in a hurry? You know this boat is filled, but you just want to be there.
2 things for me. Number one is Nigerians, most of the times, the way we live our lives, right? Especially, probably me to use the word, they have not. We live our lives too recklessly, to chance. Because that's, people will tell you, one day go die.
Exactly.
Now one day, one man go die. Must you die
God
that
is
day?
protecting us.
Yeah, that's one thing. And number 2 is the fact that we need policy, laws, and enforcement.
Absolutely.
Especially at those water lines.
Yeah, so I really blame the operators.
Yeah, if people want, there are many persons that they don't care, they don't know, that's what they are used to, but if there's a place for regulators to enforce.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there's a way you can enforce and say, nothing births here, nothing goes from here without this. And I think we need to do better as a people, up to the local government. Now that the local government have more money, these are the things that they can do. You don't have to wait for the federal inland waterways or whatever.
Exactly.
In as much, there are water lines in your place, and you can do that as well. This is six persons, unfortunately, that have died in Sokoto. The question is, unfortunately, where is next? Because we tend not to do the right thing at the proper time. All right, away from that, CSOs, demand suspension, prosecution of Kano officials implicated in corruption. And traders seek compensation over demolition of Alaba Rago market. Benue speaker resigns, new one emerges. Either he resigns or he has been removed. Somebody has just lost his job, and we learn there are issues around. Obviously, there will always be an issue. For a speaker to resign, it will not just be because he's tired of the house.
Yeah.
There are
Who gets tired of that in Nigeria?
Speaker for that matter.
Yeah. In Nigeria, the only reason why some of them resign is when they've gotten a better appointment. Perhaps someone, got a higher office, maybe a senator, like Monday Okpebolo becoming a governor. Otherwise, they don't resign.
But they are forced out. And then they would rather say, I'll resign. All right. Katsina stakeholders seek new strategy to combat banditry, and PDP's NEC may decide, let me state that again, PDP's NEC may decide on Wike orders today. All right. Nigerians are waiting to see if the PDP's NEC may decide on Wike and others today, and what they will decide. It's not just like a decision, because if they decide to beg him, it's still a decision. If they decide to say, please have mercy on us, it's a decision. And if they decide to say, get out of our party, it's a decision.
He has dared them to do that. They can't.
For years. All right. And that will be all from the Daily Trust.
And from the Daily Trust, we move straight to the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Quite a busy one on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Malema, Africa's future depends on political economy in Nigeria, South Africa. Malema, Africa's future depends on political economy in Nigeria, South Africa. You can read of that story on page 6. Of course, Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa, and of course, South Africa is the most advanced, if you put it that way. So, those two countries quite hold very crucial roles in the development of the region of Africa. You might want to read of that story on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Away from that, U.S. Obasanjo flay judiciary over perceived graft. United States, Obasanjo flay judiciary over perceived graft. You can read of that story on page 3. Over the weekend, I saw a clip where former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, he granted an interview and he was talking about graft, corruption, about a former Delta State governor, Ibori, how he was I actually took about $200 million or so. And when EFCC started investigating him, he just told him, Ibori, go and return the money. Okay, even if you spent $50 million out of it, go and return $150 million. As I just watched with keen interest, and I saw how degenerate a lot of our leaders have become. One person stealing so much money, and they were just talking about it as if it's nothing in a country where we have people suffering. He said at the end of the day, that he was proving smart. He returned, he took about $15 million cash to EFCC. And very pathetic story. And these people are still there. They are still being celebrated by some people. They are still walking free. A lot of former leaders in Nigeria, Femi, should be in jail. Yeah. Should be in jail.
Cooling off there.
Honestly, quite unfortunate, but that's the reality in Nigeria. But one day, I've said it before, they will pay for it. It's either you pay for it or your children will pay for it, but you cannot escape it. You will pay for it.
I'm sure Nigerians will be laughing at you right now.
Let them laugh.
Even if it's the reality, they will feel. It doesn't matter in as much somebody, because if some people are paying for it now, or we pay for it later, right? The reality is, inversely, some people will feel the brunt. They will suffer for it right now. And because the so-called people or whoever has stolen the money, that means they're stealing some people's clinic.
Absolutely.
They're stealing some people's hospital. They're stealing some people's schools. They're stealing some people's scholarship. And those ones might never be anybody in life. Those ones might die. So, yes, their family or whatever, karma and all of those things might happen later. But how about we putting machinery in place right now so that we make it difficult to even steal? Exactly. So that those ones that will suffer will not suffer now.
Exactly.
That's the issue. That's double jeopardy.
Absolutely.
The guy will just go around the world and all of those things. The way they do, the moment the FCC comes for them, then their neck is paining them. You see color on their neck, then they can't work. They're using crutches just because, and immediately they are granted bail. All of those miraculously and magicianly or magically, they become okay. We are used to that in Nigeria, but we should do something. Yeah. And of course, we can only talk about the government of the day. Whatever the government of the past have done is immaterial now. There are people that are holding those offices now,
but
and we must hold them accountable, do better than the previous ones. History is there for everybody to
read. You know what? For us to hold our leaders accountable, a very crucial step is for us to hold our former leaders accountable. So we need a new crop of leaders in Nigeria who will hold former leaders accountable.
Where do we get them from?
Such that before someone gets there, you know that by the time you leave, you still have to pay for what you did wrong in office.
All right.
So we just need a new crop of leaders in Nigeria until we start holding our former leaders accountable. Until former leaders, former presidents, former governors start going to jail. Yeah. Then and only then will our leaders sit up.
The big question is, who will make that push?
That's what I'm saying. We need
because most of the former are still in the current, are still in the new. Most of them are
still controlling.
They are still the world. That's why they put prodigies there. They are still the godfathers that new crops always go to seek their endorsement and their blessing. Oh, this one has visited that place. That one has visited that place. So who will do it? And, you know, some of them are still the financiers of the new.
But the tables return.
I know, I agree, and I believe so. But when you say we should get new crop of leaders, the question is, where do we get them from? From Burkina Faso?
No, it's still, we're still the ones.
Or Haiti?
It's still from Nigeria.
So it's a human thing.
We just have to wake up.
All of us
we just have
should
to wake
do better.
up. Yeah, we should wake up. Absolutely. Away from that, still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. El-Rufai, opposition leaders collapse Kaduna SDP into ADC. El-Rufai, opposition leaders collapse Kaduna SDP into ADC. You can find that story on page 3. I was smiling when I saw this story over the weekend. I mean, for El-Rufai to succeed in doing this, I recall he was banned for 30 years from the SDP. Now the SDP in Kaduna has been collapsed into the ADC. So it's a big win for him. I mean, it's a big win for El-Rufai.
Well,
I mean, just look at it. I mean, someone who was suspended, I mean, banned for 30 years. And now he will be smiling. Absolutely. Away from that, on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. NLNG seals pact with gas suppliers to aid production expansion. NLNG seals pact with gas suppliers to aid production expansion. You'll find a story on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Coalition, ADC warn of looming security collapse. Urge Tinubu to act. Coalition, ADC warn of looming security collapse. Urge Tinubu to act. You'll find that on page 8. And below that, FG, 1 trillion naira needed yearly to sustain school feeding program.
How much again?
1 trillion naira needed yearly to sustain school feeding program.
More money.
Talking about feeding. But the question is, are there really, are the right people getting this, you know, food? I mean, I hope they're not feeding ghosts, Femi. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I hope they are not feeding ghosts.
We have been in this country during COVID when parents and their children were at home, and those children that were in their parents' home were being fed.
Quite.
You know, I can remember, and I'm sure many persons remember, when the people in charge of, you know, humanitarian affairs and the disaster management ministry, then, you know, they had monies on tables, handouts, you know, to money to the vulnerables and all of those things. You know, they even said children, people's children, pupils were being fed during COVID when those children were at home. Till now, what happened? Umaru Sadia Farouk was alleged of corruption. Where is she today? What has happened to Betty Edu, the woman that took over? Better, yeah, I think it's better. Yeah. Better Edu, former commissioner for health in Cross River State, that was made you know, the minister in charge of humanitarian affairs and disaster management. Till now,
exactly.
Sadia Umar Farouk left. Then Beta Edu came, was suspended almost a year or thereabout after that.
And that story just died.
Well, and you are talking about corruption in Nigeria. That's why I ask you, when you say new crop of leaders, where do we get them from?
We have to wake up. We have to wake up. We really have to. There's a lot of
conversation. I'm sure many Nigerians have even forgotten, like there's anybody that bear, you know, Bet I do.
Yeah.
And we are talking about billions
Exactly.
of Nigerian people's naira.
Yeah, I was on one of my platforms. A picture surfaced over the weekend, and someone was asking that, where is this lady? Where is Beta?
Well,
We are just silent.
and we're asking again, where's Bet I? You know,
quite unfortunate.
I'm talking about is an interesting one. Talking about videos as a match. Okay, maybe when you are done with that.
No, go ahead.
No, they don't. They don't
Go to hold it. All right. All right, moving on to other stories. Still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. NNPCL deducts 235.6 billion naira in 7 months for oil search in North Frontier basins. NNPCL deducts 235.6 billion naira in 7 months for oil search in North Frontier basins. A lot of Nigerians have talked about this. Now you find a story on page 29. Oil exploration in the North. There was a report I was going through some time ago, quite a long time ago, about how much they're spending for oil exploration in a place like Borno State, Maiduguri, wasting money, millions of dollars. So a lot of Nigerians have raised concerns over that. Yeah. How viable is it for you to spend that kind of money for oil exploration when what you get is significantly, not reasonable compared to what you are investing?
Do you know many professionals and industry players, and I've spoken to quite a few, have said that's not the way it's done. When you're talking about oil exploration, what you do is partnership. Get private companies that will be willing to spend their money. And when they have a breakthrough, before that, you have an MOU with them.
Absolutely.
So if you go through, you are lucky. Okay, this is the percentage. This is how you recoup your money. This is what you do for yourself. This is what you do for us. That's the way it's done.
Yeah.
You don't take the state money for exploration.
And rest assured, when you get those professionals, they know where to go and where not to go. They won't just waste their money.
You wouldn't put exactly my point. They won't put their money by guesswork.
Exactly.
They know what they do because they are committed. Yeah. That's the practice, global practice. But here in Nigeria, we spend the state money on exploration. Yeah. So if you are successful, fine. If you are not successful,
the money is gone.
It's gone. How do you do it that way? And because it's NNPCL, okay, private, but then there's some government input, and that's all. Okay, money, there's fear in some part of the north, or, discovery of oil and crude oil and all of those things. So what have we done so far? That's just the thing. Billions of dollars, I'm sure in the next, we are talking about billions of dollars now, and it's being commonized right now. In the next 10 years, possibly we'll move to trillions of dollars, and it will be the new million right now, because it's looking like there's no value for that naira again.
Quite unfortunate. It's quite interesting, A lot of things happening in Nigeria. Sometimes I wonder. Well, we have to wake up. We really have to wake up. Away from that, still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Below the NNPCL story, we have Yoruba elders appeal to Oni, Alaafin to end rift. Yoruba leaders appeal to Oni, Alaafin to end rift. You find a story on page 5. And below that, NMA Lagos threatens solidarity strike over unpaid salaries, welfare. NMA Lagos threatens solidarity strike over unpaid salaries, welfare. You find a story on page 5. Right below that, we have Benue Speaker resigns 48 hours after suspending 4 lawmakers. Benue Speaker resigns 48 hours after suspending 4 lawmakers. You might want to read up that story on page 29. We just hope he resigned out of natural causes, and we just hope he's not being remote controlled. You know what I mean? This is Africa. And finally, from the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning, on the bottom strip, we have RMAFC under fire over upward review of politicians' remuneration. Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission under fire over upward review of politicians' remuneration. You find a story on page 4. And that'll be all from the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning.
All right, I talked about videos emerging earlier, and, because we're talking about election and the process and whatever comes out of that election, the quality of people who put in office and what they would do. Yes, was it last week we talked about how some good perceived righteous, I don't care type of Nigerians will say, oh, election, please, please. And they rather follow on in the media or, put prayer meetings on those days. The boys in the area will play football. The girls will chat away. Some, not absolute, because they feel it's for the RAS ones or it's for the Agberos and all of those things. And those Agberos, do you know they are voters' cards?
Absolutely.
They will vote and they will be used to these snatch boxes and all of those things. And that's the thing. So when you allow anybody, the not so good ones, to get into office, so the prayerful ones will not be using prayer to edit in a kind of way whatever those ones will do. And I'm talking about the quality of the people we elect into office, starting from the primaries, because that's the thing. They have to be nominated firstly before they get into office. And I'm talking about the video of the White Lion himself, Yahya Bello. And that's a viral video. I'm sure it happened before he left office or so, where he had the elected state members of, members of the State House of Assembly in a particular place, and it was the guy standing, and others were sitting on the floor. Those people's honorables, they were sitting on the floor taking instruction. And you know what he told them? In that video, he said that they must cooperate with the speaker, and all of them must work together and cooperate with, Governor Ododo, and that whatever he brings, they should just, go ahead and approve. In fact, he now said, even if you don't understand it, just pass it. That is so you now talk. Yeah, that's what he said. He said, even if you don't understand, just go ahead and pass it.
It means he wants them to just be brainless. They shouldn't use their brains.
You are the one saying that.
No, that's it. They shouldn't use their brains.
But that's what happened. He said, not that everything he brings you should pass alone. He said, even if you don't understand,
just pass it.
Just pass it. And by the way, the same Ododo, I remember there was a viral video in which he said, if Yahya Bello give you an instruction,
they should take it.
And he gives you an instruction, you should follow Yahya Bello because he's our leader.
And we call that one the governor.
I think we should go to the
and we call that one the governor.
So you can imagine whatever will be, and that's because that went viral. That video has been taken almost 2 years ago now, because the last election was held 2 years ago in that particular state. And so you will now imagine the quality of work that will be done by the Kogi State House of Assembly. And many persons will say, okay, why Kogi? It's because we saw that.
Yeah.
Do you know the instructions that have been given that we didn't see?
The governor is a figurehead. That's a figurehead governor, an executive governor in Nigeria who is a figurehead.
All right. So much to really talk about. And, my point exactly is, as bad as that was, it was because it surfaced online that we saw it.
Yeah.
Do you know many instructions are being passed out at different places by different governors and their godfathers?
More bizarre instructions.
I'm telling you, that was because, I don't know what happened, why that leaked almost after 2 years. That was because we saw it. Many persons we even swear they will jump the gun. The jumping the gun is not the contextual, or you both jumping the gun. No. If they traditionally, if you jump the gun, ask Baboloyi after the program. or you drink the radiator water. If you don't understand, you'll understand later. Vanguard has the story, big bold headline, economy, industrialization in jeopardy as agri manufacturing sink. And with a rider to that, as services sector takes a driving seat, manufacturing loses 1.27 trillion naira in 5 years. That's coming from a report. And below that, Labour tackles federal government over proposed pay rise for political office holders. Are we still there? All right. Intrigues as Benue Assembly elect new speaker. Imported steel product drain over $4 billion foreign exchange annually. That's from the minister. And top strip, insecurity, concerned stakeholders decry killing of 10,217 persons in just 2 years. 10,217 persons killed in just 2 years. And gridlock, Lagos halts work on Ogudu Ifako Bridge. An NBA conference, Sultan and Ba Malema attacks lawyers on justice protection of poor. And that will be all from the Vanguard.
And from the Vanguard, we go straight to the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. Let's take a quick look at some of the headlines on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Sick and stranded. Presidential order fails to curb soaring drug prices. Sick and stranded. Presidential order fails to curb soaring drug prices. With a rider, essential medicines still unaffordable despite tax waivers. Pharmacies struggle amid weak naira. And that exactly is the underlying problem, the weak naira, the purchasing power of the naira, because most of these drugs are imported. So definitely you don't expect pharmacies and drug dealers to run at a loss. You might want to read up that story on page 2 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Away from that, moving to the top strip. PDP NEC gets zoning reports today amid convention crisis. You'll find that on page 44. Locals beg FG as Osun, Ondo, federal roads crumble. You'll find that story on page 44 as well. And beside that, we have Premium Trust Bank achieved CBN 200 billion naira recapitalization mandate for national banks, reinforces market leadership. Now that's a good one for Premium Trust Bank, achieving the requirement for national banks. Quite interesting. Away from that, FG shuts 22 illegal tertiary institutions. You find that on page 8. Federal government shuts 22 illegal tertiary institutions. So what happens to the students? It means they are illegal students. Quite unfortunate. But again, it's no fault of the students. Those institutions advertise for admission, and students applied and they gain admission. Now the federal government shut those 22 institutions, saying they are illegal. We need to demand justice for the students. Exactly. They spent their time, their money, their resources. Come on, we should do better as a nation, for God's sake. We should do better. Well, when you take such action, just think of the implications on those affected, on the innocent students. They weren't the ones who put up the universities, the tertiary institutions in the first place. Quite unfortunate. Away from that, moving on to other stories, still on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. Pregnancy faking widow nabbed with cocaine in Lagos. Pregnancy faking widow nabbed with cocaine in Lagos. Apparently, she was pregnant with cocaine. She was caught in Lagos. You find the story on pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Away from that, FG begins phase 2 of 12,000 megawatt cement power project. Federal government begins phase 2 of 12,000 megawatt cement power project. You'll find a story on page 27. And that'll be all from the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. That also brings us to a conclusion of the newspaper review segment of the show. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we dive into the critical matters of the day. Join us again.